His dedication, his leadership, and his commitment to courage and doing what's right. In this state, people have attacked us many times for doing what we believe in, but he is steadfast, he has stood strong, and we will always put our people first. As a retired Green Beret, I know unequivocally that one person can make a difference, and when you have a team of people like this, you can do incredible things. With the group coming back behind us on this next flight, we'll be coming up just around over 2,000 American citizens brought back from Israel. This was quite a laborious process. Each one's a little bit different from the next. We picked them up in multiple places in Israel. We brought them back through a border crossing site in Jordan. We went from Jordan at the border crossing site to Amman, Amman to the airport, airport to Cyprus, Cyprus here to Tampa. I would like to say that it went exactly as planned, but often we can't determine what happens. We can only determine what we do with what happens around us. I want to thank our passengers and the people who trusted in us and did what they needed to do to keep themselves safe, the rest of the team safe, and I want to thank them for their grace and their courage in doing what had to be done. This was not easy on any of them, but more than anything, I just want to say welcome home and welcome back to Florida. Thank you, God bless them, and God bless each of you.
So that was the state senator.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Well, good afternoon to you. Welcome into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. It is 4 o'clock, and that means it's time for today's Top 4 at 4, where we break down 4 of the big stories that we're tracking in the Fox 35 newsroom today. And joining us for today's Top 4 at 4, Fox 35 News anchor John Brown. John, good to see you.
Good afternoon. We'll start with the F-bomb that was heard around the world, and that's like literally. So in case you haven't seen yet, President Trump dropped an F-bomb talking about the two countries, Israel and Iran, who violated the ceasefire just hours after he brokered it. That's our top story today. Donald Trump claims that ceasefire between the two countries is still in effect on Tuesday after expressing deep frustration with both sides for violating the agreement hours after he brokered it. Israel earlier today accused Iran of launching missiles into their airspace after the truce was signed. The Iran military then denied firing on Israel. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office later said that he held off on a tougher strike against Iran after speaking with Trump. While both Iran and Israel have acknowledged the shaky ceasefire, no details have emerged about the terms of the deal or what concessions either side may make in this case. But do you get the feeling, and who knows, we've heard this before. I've been in the news business, 30 years? If I could count the number of times I've talked about ceasefires in the Middle East, I would be a very wealthy man if I got a dollar for him, right? So it seems like a positive development. It is a positive development, but will it hold? I thought back when Clinton brokered one, it was a done deal. So I don't know where we go from here, but it seems like both sides are on par with this. Now, Iran really can't do much else. They're decimated. So I don't know how much more they can push back. Israel could keep doing it, but I don't think so.
And here you mentioned that comment from President Trump. Here's what he said. Here's the full kind of context of that as he spoke with reporters. Don't worry, we did censor it.
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
And then kind of the mic drop and walk away.
Well, and you know, I know a lot of people online are saying president shouldn't curse like that. Really? If you look back, I mean, some of the presidents were just Nixon tapes, for crying out loud. I mean, just go back and, I mean, you look at the list here. Of course, you got Nixon. LBJ cursed all the time. Jimmy Carter even cursed on mic. Biden, this is a big effing deal. Okay, it happens all the time. And the other side of social media says, he said exactly what everybody's thinking, right? So take from it what you will, but it's not the first time ever. So there you have it.
Just be glad we weren't carrying that live on TV.
Right, yeah.
At the time.
Well, that's a good point. How would the FCC enforce that when it's the boss of the FCC who did it? How do you do that? I don't think you do.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see. All right, next story here. Robin Lopez, the estranged wife of the suspended Osceola County Sheriff, Marcos Lopez, made her first appearance in court today. She was booked on charges of conspiracy to commit racketeering and conspiracy to use or invest proceeds from racketeering. Lake County judge set her bond at $400,000. And the look on her face when he dropped the bomb, well, she wasn't expecting that, shall we say.
The court is going to set a monetary bond in the amount of $400,000 for Ms. Severance Lopez. Additional conditions of pretrial release are that Ms. Severance Lopez surrender her passport and all firearms within 24 hours of release from custody, that she have no contact with Marcos Lopez, and that a GPS monitor be placed on her prior to release. You are not permitted to have any contact whatsoever with Marcos Lopez. You can't see him, call him on the phone, text him, send him a Facebook message, or communicate with him by any means whatsoever. You're also not allowed to ask another person to communicate with him on your behalf, for example, to give him a message from you. Do you understand all that, ma'am?
I think that look says it all.
Yeah, so I talked to an attorney about this, but prior to that, and one reason they push for a higher bond in a case like this is who knows more about you than anybody else? Like, who could derail your career? Who could derail my career more than anybody else? Now, because both are caught up in this, a lot of times the spouse isn't forced to testify. In this case, because they both may have broken the law, she can testify. And she could testify to lessen her own situation, shall we say. So I think part of that, look, maybe that was a shock and awe factor, right? Now, what else are you going to tell us? Because she wasn't mentioned in any of this. Remember, they're still looking for one more person. We believe there may be somebody overseas or a bank that was holding these funds, then taking it to somebody else. That's the theory here. She was never mentioned. So does this do the squeeze? We'll see where it goes from here.
We will see. And we have been continuing to monitor the Lake County Jail. To our knowledge, they have not bonded out just yet.
And yes, we have somebody. I get questions about this. Yes, there is somebody behind this camera. I got the question the other day on the golf course. How long are you going to do this? I'm like, I don't know. I mean,
it's been going on a couple weeks now.
That's all I can give you. They're like, what if he stays in jail for 5 years? Well, there'll be some overtime. Okay, so let's talk about Grady Judd here. He also had some sound bites extraordinary today. Okay, his deputies in Polk County see 64 pounds of fentanyl, and 8 people were arrested in what the sheriff calls the largest fentanyl seizure in the county's history. Judd says the undercover investigations began last year in July, and also they include Mexico's 2 largest cartels. Now, according to him, enough fentanyl to kill 14.5 million people, value about $4.5 million. Now, in this case, I don't know if the soundbite says it. There you see the battery right there. Has he addressed this in your soundbite here, Garrett?
I think
Johnny,
so.
Johnny, addressed this one? Okay, so they were hiding the drugs in the battery. That's how they moved them around. So let's see what the bite here says.
64 pounds of fentanyl in these 2 operations. That's enough to overdose and kill 14.5 million people. Let me say that again. Our detectives and our agents from the federal, the state, and the local level potentially save the lives of up to 14.5 million people. Or think of it this way. We seized enough drugs to overdose and kill everyone in the state of Ohio, or everyone in the state of Pennsylvania, or everyone in the state of Illinois, and have drugs to kill people left over.
Quite an operation.
All right, there you have it. So, and right here, again, I think I'm always shocked every time these things happen. I know they happen everywhere, but here in our own backyard. And how about this one? We'll finish with this one. A special primary election being held today. This one should actually be a movie, I think. These 4 candidates right here. What the story behind all of them. Okay, so this fills some vacancies for State Senate District 15 and Florida House District 40. So the Democratic primary right now is taking place. And this is to fill the seat left vacant by the death of State Senator Geraldine Thompson. She died back in February. So 4 Democrats vying for the Senate nomination. It includes the current rep, Levon Bracey Davis, her brother, former Senator Randolph Bracey, former U.S. Representative Alan Grayson, and attorney Coretta Anthony Smith. Now, if you look into this story here, each and every one has an interesting story behind them. Some is some family infighting. Some is a history of running for races and winning races. So there's so much in this race. I'm so fascinated by this. So we'll see what happens from here. The polls stay open, by the way, until 7 o'clock tonight if you're in that district. And
we'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit with one of our friends from Politico. But before we let you go, John, we've talked a lot about what's going on in Iran and Israel. And you had some really good context when it comes to these B-2 bombers and the Air Force base out of Missouri.
Yeah, so I actually wrote a book on this particular base here. I was a part of one of my history books in Missouri. It's Wymer Air Force Base outside of Sedalia, Missouri. It's in the middle of nowhere. I'm telling you. So these guys used to train over the university where I went to. And you talk about scaring the bejesus out of you when these things rumble by, because we weren't very far from Sedalia, Missouri, in Fayette, Missouri, where I was going to college. So these things fly all over central Missouri all the time, so it's not that unusual to see them. So that day, they send a few the opposite direction first as a diversion. So when they took off going to the west, people didn't think much of it. Like, oh, it's a training mission. And then a few more took off to the east. So if you're really watching these closely, you're thinking, well, what is going on here? Where are they going to the west? So they didn't know. So it's kind of a diversion there. But these things stay in the air for up to 48 hours, maybe even longer. Inside these little cockpits, there's a sleeping area, there's a microwave, there's water, there's a bathroom. It's not comfortable by any means. The sleeping area is a cot 6 foot long by 2 feet wide. But again, so this area is so heavily protected. Back when I was growing up, big open plains there, and this was the era of the missile silos out there. So they had these big silos. They looked like corn silos. Later on, we found out there were missiles inside those things. And so they picked this area because it is so insulated. You didn't want these things to be a target anywhere. It'd be impossible to get to these from a foreign country. And if you're driving to that, you're going to stand out very quickly as well because it's out in the farm. And so these guys, they sleep in shifts, but they're so excited. Sometimes they say they sleep for 5 minutes of the 48 hours. They give them stimulants, some medical grade stimulant that they can take. But some of the guys say, I don't even need a stimulant. You're going to war. They refuel in the air. So 2 straight days in that little bitty cockpit. Again, once you're there, it's one of those things where you realize how cool our military is and the things we have, because that was also one of the areas where they used to launch the missiles. That was an area. It's been decommissioned. It's still there. You go in there, it's like you see in the movies. Huge room, much larger than this. All the buttons and the dials and everything everywhere. That part is not being used. But the B-52 part still is. So it's an amazing part of our history that nobody outside of that area, it seems like nobody really knows, and that's why they picked Missouri. Sedalia, Missouri. Knob Noster, a suburb of Sedalia. Okay. It's not far out of there. And so it's way out in the middle of nowhere, but just a great story in how these guys do their training flights.
I thought you were calling me a name there for a second.
No, the town nearby is Knob Noster, which is a suburb of Sedalia, which is about 2 hours from Kansas City, so you get the point.
Gotcha.
There's nothing.
Well, it is fascinating to learn about, fascinating to think about, them taking that long flight, refueling in the air, all that stuff. It is fascinating.
Really is. Yeah.
John, we appreciate you joining us. That's
Sounds
today's Top 4 at 4. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist TJ Springer joins me now. And TJ, we are talking about the first named storm in the Atlantic.
I still can't believe we are. I'm still like in springtime, Garrett. It's hard to believe that we're already, you know what, let's say the 24 days into hurricane season. It's crazy.
Near the end of June already. I know. It's going fast. That means we're getting closer to a busier time of hurricane season as well.
Yeah, thankfully, I mean, with this one, Garrett, the good news is it is weakening, and that's going to be the trend as we head through the remainder of our night. It's going to continue to run into a less favorable environment, more hostile wind, and also some cooler water. So some good news for sure as we progress through the rest of our Tuesday and into our Wednesday. But we still have Andrea, nonetheless, the wind sustained at 40 miles per hour. It's moving off to the east-northeast at a 17. And we're still going to watch her continue to lift to the north and east as we progress through the rest of our evening, eventually weakening back into a depression as we head into our Wednesday, the first half of our Wednesday. Thankfully, no impact to land, neither Europe or the United States. So that's something we'll continue to, of course, monitor. But thankfully, this was kind of a non-starter, a good first storm of the hurricane season with no impact to land. You can see how much cooler the water is where Andrea is headed, so to speak. The water, though, across the Gulf and much of the Western Atlantic has warmed up into the 80s. So we're slowly warming up the water. And, of course, that is fuel for anything that can develop. But we've had a lot of dust in the air. We've been keeping tabs on another plume. We've also had a more hostile wind environment in the main development region of the Atlantic. So that has kind of kept things quiet. There have been some tropical waves, but they really haven't been able to organize, which is great. Now you can see this yellow here on the screen. Throughout the month of June, these are areas that we watch that, can be development regions for tropical activity. But thankfully, we have been quiet in most of these areas aside from now Andrea. And as Andrea moves to the north and east, we're going to continue to see that system weaken. Now back closer to home, we are drier because of this ridge of high pressure. One to our north and this area of high pressure to our east as well. Now with these areas of high pressure, we get large-scale clockwise motion. And with that, we're getting drier air ushered across the peninsula. It's not that we can't see a spotty shower or storm on storm tracker radar, but we have lesser chances. Remember, with areas of high pressure, you get hot conditions, you also get sinking air. You need rising motion for systems or for storms to form and systems to produce more rain. But our rain chances, because at least here at home in Florida, we have the sea breeze. That brings enough lift for us to see some showers and thunderstorms. And we can see a couple of showers moving westbound across the peninsula, but there hasn't been much. And with this dry air, a lot of these don't really have much of a leg to stand on. But it's hot. It's still humid. Temperatures are in the mid-90s in Ocala. We have 90 in Bithlo, 91 in Orlando currently. A little bit better with that easterly onshore flow in spots like New Smyrna. 85, we'll take it. Feels a little more refreshing near the beaches. But inland, we have the heat indices. It feels like temps still hitting the century mark for the Villages, for Winter Haven. We're just about there in Orlando. So if you are getting out, you have some outdoor plans, maybe you have some sports practices this evening, anything outdoors, still make sure you're drinking plenty of water. Try not to push it too far in this heat. But nothing like what the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast is feeling. It's actually hotter up there than it is here. Now tonight we'll dip back into the low to mid-70s. Under that mainly starry sky, should be a quiet night. Still muggy. Then tomorrow we're back into the low to mid-90s once again. Still isolated showers and thunderstorms, but chances still fairly slim. Now as we head through time though, later in the week, as this ridge starts to break down, we are going to start to see chances for showers and thunderstorms on the rise. Not washouts, but between that area of low pressure, that disturbance, and then the daily sea breeze interactions, we will have to watch out for a little more rain. Now, watch what happens. We briefly felt a touch of relief from the humidity. Not much, not that probably any of us would really notice, especially folks that have been here for years, and this is what we deal with day in and day out, but dew points will start to come back up ever so slightly, and then we're back up into those feels like temps beyond the century mark, area-wide, especially Friday into this weekend. So shy of heat advisory criteria, but hot, sultry nonetheless. Now, as we head through the remainder of our day on our Fox model, you can see the potential for maybe a stray shower or storm heading through dinner time, but most of us will stay dry. Just a few clouds from time to time. We'll see anything really fade away through the overnight into the wee hours of our Wednesday. And you can see still that onshore flow for us as we head through our Wednesday morning. No issues for the morning commute, and I would say even for the evening commute, aside from maybe a spotty shower or rumble, shouldn't be too active at all on Storm Tracker radar tomorrow. Now, our Fox 35 Storm Team 7-day forecast shows temperatures staying just slightly above normal, but notice the rain chance is really on the rise as we head through our Friday and Saturday, Garrett, and it's looking like I should say that will be the trend as we head through early next week. A little more typical of Florida this time of the year.
No doubt about that. We have had a lot of the atypical so far, so I think it might be kind of nice just to be able to get back in that more typical summer routine.
What we normally see, I know our grass still needs some rain. I mean, it's better, but I know it could still use some.
Yes, I'm right there with you, TJ. Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist TJ Springer, we appreciate you joining us.
Thanks, Garrett.
We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Wymer. Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. It is special election day for the state Senate seat in District 15. As we talked about that with John just a few minutes ago, that's the seat that was previously held by the late state senator Geraldine Thompson. Now, a pair of siblings and a couple of other folks running for that Democratic nomination in that race. Earlier this afternoon on Florida Live, had the chance to speak with Kimberly Leonard, who is a Politico reporter and the author of the Florida Playbook newsletter, who broke down all the different dynamics in that special election.
Whoever wins is going to be headed into a situation where they're going to face a GOP supermajority. And so a lot of the folks that I interviewed really focused on how they would work to compromise and pass legislation despite facing that supermajority. So I thought that was an interesting point of conversation in looking at this race. You know, there are so few areas where Democrats thrive, and this district is certainly one. And it's also a place where, you know, if you can have that contrast, if you can make yourself, you know, a Democrat who's able to get some attention and maybe build that bench to maybe get into higher office someday, these seats can just be really interesting to watch in the long term.
Let's talk a little bit about the candidates here, because I know you had the chance to speak with them as well, but some really interesting things going on here.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't get more interesting than this, I feel like. So first of all, you have former State Senator Randolph Bracy, who was the first, I believe, to throw his hat in the ring. And he then later was so upset because he found out that his sister, who was a former House member who stayed in the legislature until recently, Lavon Bracy Davis, was also going to be running. And so he talked to me yesterday. He had just been very upset by the whole thing. He said that his father would have wanted them both to serve in the legislature at the same time, her in the state house and him in the Senate. So he was pretty upset about that. And their mother has also taken sides in the race and endorsed their daughter. Now, she's not just, their mom, she's also someone who's a lead civil rights activist in the state and who knew Geraldine Thompson for a really, really long time. They were really close friends. They actually go back to their time in college together. She was maid of honor at Thompson's wedding. So it's all very entangled in that way. And they're not even the only ones running. There's also Coretta Anthony Smith, who is a personal injury attorney. She raised more money than anyone else in the race, over $300,000. A good chunk of that was her self-donation, but she was able to bring a lot of kind of major folks onto her campaign team, including some who had worked on the Harris campaign in Florida. So she's someone to watch, I think, for sure. And then former Representative Alan Grayson, which, as our viewers might know, served in Congress for quite some time, was a big firebrand there. And I was able to talk to all of them. And the thing about these special elections is that they can be huge wild cards just because so few people show up to vote. And so sometimes when it seems like, okay, one person might be edging ahead, and I would say in this case, it would be former Representative Lavon Bracy Davis, just because she also is someone that apparently Thompson wanted to succeed her. It's still, not necessarily a sure thing. So, we will find out early, which is good. That's one of the nice things about elections in Florida. But just this crazy dynamics of the race that's taking place.
Yeah, not only that, you also wrote in Florida Playbook about some of the disadvantages that even as the seeming favorite, Lavon Bracy Davis kind of faced for being in the state legislature for so long during this kind of extended session.
Exactly. So none of this was her fault. But the special election, first of all, when you're in the legislature, you are not allowed to fundraise while, the legislature is in session. That's illegal. So she actually wasn't even able to go out and raise money until after they gavelled out, which was, about a week ago. But she was able to raise $50,000 very quickly within 3 days. But it's, still money can mean a lot in elections. It's not everything, but it certainly doesn't hurt, especially when a lot of people just don't know a special election is happening.
Yeah, certainly, like you said, kind of a wild card when you think of what the turnout might be. Just kind of hard to predict. Now, there's also another special election primary for the seat vacated by Lavon Bracy Davis in the House.
Yeah, exactly. So in that seat, again, it's all like interconnected, but Rashawn Young was her top aide in the state house, and that's the person that she wants to succeed her. But there's also former state representative Travaris McCurdy who's running. And he said to me, well, I have experience being in the legislature, so that's why I think I'm the best person. And he was also a former aide to state senators. And so that's going to be another one. The House also has a Republican supermajority. And so again, anytime you get some of these sort of leftover Democratic seats, it offers opportunity to really be able to offer that contrast, to Florida voters, as Florida Democrats are really trying to sort of claw their way back to, not being in the super minority and really trying to come up with a message and so forth. So I don't know what's going to happen in that one either. I didn't see any good polling data on it. I think it's really going to be kind of a nail biter for both.
We will be tracking that through the evening. We're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus. Keep it right here on Fox Local and on YouTube.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday afternoon. We are learning more this afternoon about the case against Robin Lopez, the estranged wife of the suspended Osceola County Sheriff Marcos Lopez, now facing charges in connection with that illegal gambling ring that the suspended sheriff was and several others have been arrested for and are facing charges for. Going to bring in Fox 35's Marie Ettinger, who joins us live now via Zoom. And Marie, I know you've been looking into this all day today.
Yes. So the sheriff's wife is accused of essentially helping to funnel payments to Marcos Lopez. So she was given a $400,000 bond. The defense attorney working for her was asking for a $50,000 bond, saying that bond is not meant to be punitive. It's just meant to ensure that people are kept in jail. That what you're seeing right now is her reaction when she is told by a judge that it's actually going to be at $400,000. The defense also brought up that other co-defendants listed on this criminal complaint were given much lower bonds than what the state was asking for this woman here, Robin Severance Lopez. The state and the judge argued, or the judge said, that she's going to get $400,000. That was because the state had argued that she and the sheriff, her husband, Marcos Lopez, had much more involvement. They had much larger financial gains than the other co-defendants. They're accused of getting $600,000 to $700,000, whereas the other people involved were allegedly just like ministerial roles. They were just kind of employees who got fees. When one of the co-defendants, Sheldon Weatherhold, had left the jail and reporters were talking with him, he told us that he got a $300 fee for the LLCs that he helped set up, some of which are involved in this alleged conspiracy to commit racketeering. So those, I guess, would be related for the fees that some employees got versus the hundreds of thousands of dollars that the Lopezes are accused of accumulating from this alleged gambling ring.
Marie, it was a pretty lengthy first appearance in court today. We heard her attorney also kind of push back against some of the allegations against her, saying she simply forwarded someone a W-9 form and was not involved in this.
That attorney, she had a lot of interesting points, and one of them that she really hammered down on was what you brought up, Garrett. The state says that they have an email, which is what this attorney was talking about, the defense attorney, which was apparently forwarding a W-9 to one of the co-defendants, Ying Zhang. She goes by Kate. The reason that got brought up was because Severance Lopez was claiming to not know any of the other co-defendants. And then when the state brought up, we have this email from you to a co-defendant, she says, oh, yes. The prosecutor says, well, that person went by Kate, not her real name, Ying. And so Severance Lopez just kind of mixed them up or didn't understand. She wasn't intentionally lying. She just didn't know the real name. And then the other reason that email got brought up a lot by her defense attorney was she's saying, that's all you have. You just have one email. How is that supposed to be a conspiracy? A conspiracy typically involves multiple predicate acts or multiple instances where a person is involved in overall a scheme. It's not just one thing that you do, it's a larger plot or an ongoing thing. The state then brought up, after a long time talking about this email, the state brought up the defense has not been privy to all of the information that the state has had to build its case. Discovery has not been turned over yet. The state says that it's not just that email that they have that this attorney was going on about. They have text messages, they have photos, they have witness testimony, they have a bunch of stuff that they're saying. Some of it they didn't even reveal today, that they said is, the quote they used was irrefutable evidence that allegedly Severance Lopez is tied to this scheme. This all started in 2019. She and the sheriff, or allegedly started, I should say, she and the sheriff separated that same year. They met while she was a deputy, it seems. They were both deputies at the Osceola County Sheriff's Office. From what I can tell, it looks like she started there in 2003. The last ticket that she ever handed out was in January of 2014. I could see in federal court records that she filed for disability later that year, I believe in June or July of 2014. They wound up denying that claim. She had a bunch of things that she listed. They said, no, you can still do light work. Her defense attorney today said that she has had a number of jobs. She has a part-time job right now that she's been at for 2 years. That she brings in about $1,300 a month from that job, allegedly. She has about $130,000 in the bank right now, according to divorce records that the state mentioned. She filed for divorce from the sheriff, or the suspended sheriff, in 2023. So there's a couple of things about that. They're saying that she and the sheriff, although being separated since 2019, were still involved together as part of this alleged scheme. They also said that she even tried to put up multiple properties as collateral to help him pay bail. The defense attorney says that's because they share a kid together. They're just co-parents, and she doesn't want their co-parent in jail. The thing that the state also brought up as part of her finances being what they're claiming is essentially, they're just saying it's fishy, is that she had almost $200,000 in bank receipts when she was arrested, deposited to 2 different accounts in the past couple of weeks, all within a week from when her husband was arrested. So they're going after her, and she is also going to have to prove the source of her funds that she used for bail, just like the sheriff is going to have to do. So we are not expecting her to bond out today because she'll have to have a hearing in order to prove the source of those funds before she can be let out on bail. If she does make it out, she'll have to wear a GPS monitor. She will not be allowed contact with Sheriff Lopez. And there will be a few others. She'll have to turn over her passport. She can't have guns. So it'll be a pretty restrictive release once she does get out.
All right, Fox 35's Marie Edinger, we appreciate you joining us and breaking all that down for us.
Of course.
Give you a live look right now at Camping World Stadium, where in just a few hours we are going to see the FIFA Club World Cup continue there with a game between LAFC and Flamengo, a team out of Brazil. Joining us live now is Fox 35's Randy Hildreth. And Randy, another exciting day of soccer when we're talking FIFA Club World Cup here in Orlando.
Hey, Garrett. So here's the thing. You cannot convince me that Orlando is not a sports town. Not only do we have the Magic here, but we also have all of these games that come and are played out, these matches that unfold here in Orlando. So we are in for a treat. As you mentioned, we have one of the most popular teams, Flamengo from Brazil. They will take on LAFC. And I've been doing a little bit of digging, so I found out that this is the first time the best team from North America and South America will meet for the first time ever. So a little bit of history here for fans. So Flamengo is at the top of Group D. They've already booked their ticket to the knockout round. They are coming into this game with a 10-game winning streak. So the fans who are here are very, very excited about the momentum going into the game. Opposite situation for LAFC, the fans who are coming to support them. Happy that they are able to see this match, but a different backstory coming into this game for them. So they, after scoring the play-in match to seal their trip to the Club World Cup, they did lose both matches they played in so far. So they will play tonight, but their road stops here. Now, I did get a chance to speak with a fan, a super fan for the Flamengo team. He traveled here from Massachusetts, just happy to be in the number. I was asking him about the energy for the match that will happen tonight. And I was like, well, one, where are you sitting and what kind of fan are you? And he was like, everybody's going to sit behind the goal. I am sitting in the middle of the field so I can get a good look at everything. And I'm one of those super fans. So they are ready. The fans who are here are ready to go in and cheer.
I love that excitement. We've seen some big crowds out there, and there's also stuff going on at Icon Park for folks who kind of want some of that atmosphere, but maybe aren't going to the game.
Yeah, so an opportunity to, it's hot. So people can sit inside and watch the games on the big screens. But either way, it's just amazing that, so many people are in town to watch this match unfold. Kickoff is at 9 o'clock tonight. So we are a couple of hours ahead of that. I've only seen a couple fans here at Camping World Stadium, walking around the stadium. You can obviously immediately tell they are here for a soccer match because of their attire. But I imagine as we get closer to the start of the match, we'll see more people start to trickle in here. Icon Park, I can imagine that people are getting that parking in place and getting their seats so that they can get a front row view of the TVs there.
All right, Fox 35's Randy Hildreth. We appreciate you joining us, breaking all that down for us here on Fox 35 News Plus.
Thank you.
And as we go to break, we will give you this live look at the Camping World Stadium. You can see more cars showing up already, still several hours ahead of that game. We're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. A fascinating story now of a man with Florida ties finally found after disappearing on a hike in another country. Joining us live now is Fox 35's Chris Lindsay. And Chris, what a fascinating story, and certainly a good ending to all of this.
Absolutely. So this all started earlier this month on the 6th. This man, Sam, was telling his family about a hiking trip that he was going on in India. So he goes on this trip on a Friday. He's expected to be back in just a couple of days. His sister, Natasha Vingrinovich, she gets a call on that Monday saying that he's gone missing. They haven't been able to find him. 9 more days go by, and then it results in that video you see there. A rescue group found him. He apparently fell off the hiking trail on a mountain that he was on, suffered several injuries, including to his hand, shoulder, feet, and other ailments that he's dealing with right now. He got disoriented after there was some sort of fog or cloud in his way, so he couldn't really see what was going on. So for those 9 days, he was in nature. He was doing whatever it took to survive, eating berries, living off the land. His sister says at one point he had to drink his own urine just to get through to the next day. And after about 9 days, a nearby village, there were some people there that saw him trying to navigate through. They brought him to their village, called the rescue team, and that's what you see there. So this is his family. They were working hard. His parents live in Palm Coast, and his sister lives in California. So they're all over the world trying to coordinate this rescue effort.
I would imagine that they were probably really frightened during all of this, Chris.
Absolutely. So this man does a lot of traveling. He does a lot of events like these, but he always lets his family know what's going on, according to his sister. So when they got a call from a friend of his, not even someone who was with him at the time, things had kind of gone through a few different channels of communication. They were absolutely worried. But his sister says that for her, it was just about jumping into action. She immediately started calling family members, started calling the police in India, started calling Congress people in India, trying to get this thing coordinated. Eventually, they were able to get some help from a private rescue group who helped them out. But there was a very scary time for them. She tried to keep things lighthearted until he was back safe. And now he is. Obviously, a lot of injuries that he has to deal with, a few surgeries and whatnot, but he is in India in a hospital right now getting worked on for those.
Yeah, how is he doing now?
He's doing well. She says that he's still dealing with, alongside those physical injuries, some mental hurdles that he has to deal with. She says that he has an aversion to being inside. Imagine being outside for over a week. There's sort of like a mental hurdle when he's inside the hospital room. It's like a claustrophobic feeling for him, and these sort of different things. She says that he came back a different person, and that her family is different, having dealt with this. They want to kind of come closer together and figure out how to move forward as he continues to heal.
Has his family had the chance to go there and see him, or at least be able to talk to him?
They haven't just yet, but there is a trip scheduled from his father to head out there soon. Once he's done this phase of his recovery, still has some surgeries to go. So they're working to get a visa so that he can go out there and hang out for a while with his son. So from there, they'll try to coordinate how they can meet up again. But they said it's been a while since they've all been in that same room. That picture is actually from 2021, and they're hoping that they'll be able to get in the same room soon and have some family time.
I'm sure that will be nice, especially after everything that he's been through. Fox 35's Chris Lindsay, we appreciate you joining us this afternoon here on Fox 35 News Plus.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. Garrett Wymer here. We appreciate you joining us on this Tuesday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. Just over a day out from the NBA draft, the Orlando Magic picking 25th overall. They've made some moves in this offseason already, traded away a lot of draft picks as well to get the Desmond Bane, who hopefully will help that team's offense. So what will they be looking for in this draft? More offensive help potentially? And what would it mean if they drafted Walter Clayton Jr., the Florida Gators national champion, who is expected to be drafted in that first round? We know we've also heard him potentially tied to the Miami Heat, some other teams as well. So who are the Magic going to be looking for? What do they need? And where is Walter Clayton Jr. going to go? We talked about it with Brandon Kravis, host of In the Zone on 96.9 The Game.
I do think they need somebody that can step in and help right away. And trading away Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Cole Anthony in order to bring in Desmond Bane, which I think is a great move for the upside and the championship caliber direction of this team. You still need shooting on this roster. One player is not going to change your fortunes by that much. Statistically, the Magic were at the bottom of the league in terms of efficiency, shooting the three ball, and in volume. Desmond Bane is going to help tremendously with that, but he can't be there by himself. You're going to have to see improvements from other players that are already on the roster, but a great way to get better in a very cheap way is to just draft somebody that you feel confident in playing right away, kind of like they did with Tristan da Silva a year ago, a guy that I think we are going to see more run from in the 25-26 season. So I want to see them draft a pure shooter. That's what I would like to see them do. Walter Clayton Jr. is somebody that everyone is excited about. I fear for Magic fans out there that they are selling themselves on just one player. It's the only guy I ever hear about. And I get it. I want them to draft him too. But if he's the only player you'll be happy with, chances are you'll be disappointed by the time we get to 25. So I do have some other names that we can discuss here. Hope we can get some Magic fans excited about somebody else.
Yeah, because Walter Clayton Jr., we've also heard him tied to the Heat as well, who pick 5 picks ahead of the Magic.
Yeah, exactly. So the Miami Heat were supposed to pick at around 15. That is a deal that went the way of Oklahoma City, oddly enough. OKC inside of the top 15, even though they just won a championship. The rich continue to get richer there. Walter Clayton Jr. is the kind of guy that the Heat would typically go after, so that makes perfect sense. Forget about the size, forget about the age. This guy is nails. He's a great three-point shooter. He's clutch. He is dynamic in terms of his mix of pure shooting, tough shot making, ball skills. He's got it all. The guy is just simply a hooper, and that's the kind of player the Heat go after. They don't care about all of those measurables. So that's one of the reasons that I think Miami has been as successful as they've been. Now, the Magic have a higher upside right now, so you could also say that their talent development has been just as good, if not better, lately, because typically what they are after are guys that present a higher upside than what Walter Clayton Jr. Is going to bring to the table. I would like to sell you on somebody by the name of Liam McNeely out of UConn. He's a 6'8" forward. He fits exactly with the type of player, the build that the Magic are looking for. Not a great three-point shooter percentage-wise, but if you watch this guy play, the shot is pure. So for him to be a knockdown shooter in dribble handoff situations and catch and shoot would not surprise me in the slightest. He's an absolute demon on the court. So that's an area they could look. Jace Richardson, who's the son of former Magic player Jason Richardson, also an exciting player, and statistically was actually a better three-point shooter than Walter Clayton Jr. was. This is a guy, though, that is not going to pass the measurables test. He is just 6'1", which is Steph Curry range. And unless you're one of the best three-point shooters in the league, 6'1" can be a problem in the NBA because he's the kind of guy that you would have to hide on defense. But there are more players that the Magic can go after than just simply Walter Clayton Jr. And I also think that adding rim protection wouldn't be the worst idea either. A household name for college basketball fans, a guy by the name of Ryan Kalkbrenner is going to be drafted right around that range. He averaged 2.7 blocks per game out of Creighton last year.
So are you saying we might see the Magic draft someone other than guards?
I think it's absolutely possible. I think the Magic really aren't the kind of team that obsesses over position anyway. They are very positionless. I mean, and they've said that over the years, and they have certainly backed that up. The Magic still don't have a true point guard because I don't think they care. I think they want all 5 guys to be able to bring the ball up the court, set up the offense if they need to, and that's the sort of amoeba style that they want to run. They drafted Anthony Black a couple of years ago. I think people thought, okay, this is going to be the natural point guard. Turns out that's not really where his skills are best suited. He's kind of better as an off-ball player that does have the ability to pass, and it seems like all of their guys fit that mold where they could be a guard, they could be a forward, they could play at the 5 if they need to. That's just sort of the way the Magic have built this team. So it's always tough because I fall into that same trap. When I think basketball, I think of the 5 positions: point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center. I'm telling you, the Magic do not care what your position is. It is very much what is your skill level and how versatile can you be on our basketball team.
If you had to give us a one name who you think it's going to be at that 25th pick for the Magic, who would you say you think it's going to be?
I think if we're being realistic, it's going to be a guy that we haven't thought of yet. Somebody by the name of you know what? I'll give you the name, and then that way we can at least say as a group that we heard it. Maxime Reynaud, 7'1" out of Stanford. He averaged 20 points and 11 rebounds last year. He's also an older prospect like Walter Clayton Jr., 22 years old, but a lot of college basketball people that I talked to say that he was perhaps the second best player in the ACC last year behind only Cooper Flagg. I'm not saying he's the prospect of Cooper Flagg. I'm just saying that in ACC play, he was outstanding, and he can help the Magic in terms of another big that can help you if you end up moving off of a Mo Wagner, if you end up trading Goga Bitadze or Wendell Carter Jr. I think he can help fill that sort of role as a rim protector that can score in a pinch, a productive player that can help you. It's hard to find guys that are 7'1" that can help you day one, and I think he can be that. That's Maxime Reynaud. Go ahead and write that one down.
All right, so we are jotting that one down. He did predict it last year with Tristan Da Silva in right here on Fox Local, so we will see what happens. We'll be watching that draft closely tomorrow night. And just a reminder, in some other sports news, we are going to be watching this game going on at Camping World Stadium tonight in the FIFA Club World Cup. Fox 35's Randy Hildreth getting ready to be live right outside Camping World Stadium coming up in just a few minutes on Fox 35 News at 5. Again, that game between LAFC and Flamingo at 9 p.m. Expect a big crowd out there. You heard Randy talking about all the enthusiasm that she has seen already, and we are still several hours away from that game. Well, we appreciate you joining us here on Fox 35 News Plus today. We'll be right back here tomorrow with more. We're always live at 11 a.m., 2 p.m., and 4 p.m. here on Fox Local and on YouTube. We are also live outside of those hours as news warrants, so we hope you join us here on Fox 35 News Plus and also on Florida Live. Going to go ahead and send things out to Studio B here for the start of Fox 35 News at 5. I want to let you know about one story coming up. Fox 35's Caroline Cole is doing a story about a man moving forward after a double amputation, now learning how to skateboard. 23-year-old Florida man, his inspiring story, and a whole lot more coming up on Fox 35 News. You can see John and Luann getting ready for the start of that newscast, which begins in just a few seconds right here on Fox Local. So keep it here for more news, weather, and sports, and we will see you tomorrow. Have a great night.
Right now